Good morning, friends. Welcome to Take Two for this Tuesday, the 12th of March, 2019. I'm Jeannie. I'm so glad that I can be with you this morning. I hope you're having a great day, and I want to talk to you just a little bit about something very interesting that I watched a documentary the other day, and it was about sinkholes. Now, for those of you who don't know what a sinkhole is, I'm going to give you an example right here. This is a sinkhole. I have two pictures here. This is a sinkhole. Now, what this is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your street caves in. And there's a big hole right there. Here's another one. This was taken, I believe, in England, where in a regular little neighborhood there, all of a sudden, the ground, you could see the people in proximity. They're standing right on the edge of it, so it's a rather large sinkhole with a car in it. Well, sinkholes just, boom, just pop upon us as a surprise. You know, what is a sinkhole? Well, I was watching this documentary, and it was talking about the sinkhole in Louisiana. It was a little subdivision that was right along the bayou, a small village, if you will, along the bayou. And it was right on the, on the edge of the water. And, there's a lot of swampland down there. It's a below sea level area there. That's why Hurricane Katrina devastated the New Orleans area. But this village, this little town along the bayou, was sitting right along the edge of this body of water. Suddenly, what happened was a sinkhole formed in the bottom of the water. And it was, they thought, the residents thought that they were imagining things. They thought they were seeing things. It was like, what is this going on? And suddenly, before their very eyes, trees just started getting sucked under. And this thing was just growing and growing and growing. Well, sinkholes are one of those things that just come upon you with no warning whatsoever. I was reading about online this morning how sinkholes form and how when there's moisture underneath them, there may be caverns or there may be mines like coal mines or salt mines that are forgotten about, and developers come and just put a bunch of cement on or try to fill a hole just on the top, and they think that they've done their job and then they build on top of it. Well, there's fluids and liquids and gases underneath, and this is just eating away. Maybe there's chemicals from when it was used as a mine that are there, and they're just sitting. And so what happens? Well, what about this museum? There was a Corvette museum in Florida that had these rare Corvettes on display, and out of nowhere, a sinkhole. This museum was built on top of a sinkhole, and they didn't know it. It was built on top of area that was could have a sinkhole happen, and exactly that happened. 8 cars were suddenly just sucked into the earth. 8 rare Corvette cars were sunk into the earth from this sinkhole. So these things just out of nowhere surprise us. They've been known to just swallow people up and kill them and swallow up neighborhoods. There was this back to England. There's lots of sinkholes in Great Britain. I didn't realize all the years I lived there, and I lived right over in an apartment with Michael, right over what had been at one time coal mines. So at any time, I'm sure the little building we were living in, we were living upstairs from a local little post office, that could have gotten sucked up at any time. Michael was digging in our little backyard one day in Great Britain, and he found a whole bunch of old stuff, like an old tin that had tobacco in it and other little things that were clearly from like maybe 100 years ago. They were rusty and old. An old bottle that lemonade had come in with the old-fashioned top on it. So these things were very old, and they were there left over probably from when the coal miners worked down there. So what happens in Great Britain is because of all this, they mine coal all the time. And for many years they've mined coal. and there was this one subdivision in the south of England where a bunch of work had been done. A developer bought up a chunk of land that just was there for years and years and decades. Nobody seemed to even tracking down who owned it was hard. I think it ended up being owned by the city. Anyway, he got this and he developed a small subdivision of about 15 or 20 houses. Absolutely beautiful, lovely little subdivision. And he just developed, poured the foundations, and developed and built these lovely homes in this little mini subdivision. Well, no sooner had people started moving in and taking occupancy, all but one of those homes was sucked down into a huge, massive sinkhole like this. But imagine it even bigger. Wow, what do? All but one house. And there was nothing that could be done about it. It was just an act of nature. So, well, what do you do? What do you do when you're sucked up in that situation? You find yourself in quite a difficult situation. Well, I started thinking about the sinkholes of life that I found myself sucked into at times. You know, I didn't do my homework, and I didn't, try to find out in advance things that might be wrong, possible challenges that could be going on to cause me to get sucked into that sinkhole in life. Well, like that developer, if he had really done his homework and found out, are you ready for this, that mines had been excavated under that area 300 years before, and they sat empty and unoccupied and not being used as a mine, and all there was a few layers of dirt tossed on top of it. But meanwhile, that still existed, and all those water and the fluids and the chemicals and everything were just eating away at all of that stone until eventually, with the pressure and weight of all those houses, caused that massive sinkhole and a huge catastrophe. Well, I don't want to live like that, boys and girls. I don't want to be living in a situation where any minute I could get sucked into a sinkhole. And one way that I could prevent that from happening is to do my research before I enter into anything. Whether it's entering into a new business, or whether it's entering into some sort of business relationship, or even a friendship. Do your homework. Find out a little bit more about folks. Find out a little bit more about your investments. Find out a little bit more about any business you might be going into. Because if it's something that out of nowhere could just suddenly suck you down, you know, I was amazed. I was on the internet yesterday and I was reading about a vacation package that was available. It seemed too good to be true. And you know what? If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And it was about this package where you can get like this huge all-inclusive vacation that normally costs $2,000 for $99. And it just says, click here for more information. Well, of course, I did not do that because that would be foolish. That would be definitely setting myself up for a sinkhole. And so instead, I went and did the research of, I typed the name of the company and then I just typed the word scam. Zing, 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 this big long list, and people saying, I did this and I gave them my $99. It turned out it was $2,000 and blah, 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 blah. And then somebody just very gently on the bottom said, next time I'll do my homework and read things like this before I go ahead and make that commitment. Isn't that wise words? Sadly, for that person, it was a little bit after the fact. After he found himself in a sinkhole and looking up, that's when he decided next time he was going to do his homework. So, boys and girls, if you find that you are in a sinkhole, if you are sucked in, if your car is in a ditch right now, do take the steps you need to do to dig yourself out, and do everything you possibly can to prevent yourself from getting pulled into another one by doing a little bit of research and a little bit of homework before you make any kind of major decision, okay? Hey, go be a blessing to somebody today. You might end up being the only one who is. If you know somebody who's down in a sinkhole like this and you need to be one of the people to come help pull them out, please do that. If you need to be the one to encourage them to think twice before they make a major decision because they may end up in something like this, do that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeanne Sigler, Jeannesigler. Hit that subscribe button. And of course, for the greatest in music, programming, all sorts of good stuff, lunch break with Big Tom and Jeanne at 11 o'clock Central. Don't forget, WRMZ.org, and click the listen button. Okay, everybody, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day. And one last little P.S. Many, many birthday blessings to my good friend, Leslie Larson. Yes, I haven't forgotten. You take care now, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.